Have a good look around. Get some ideas what you're going to do with the place once it's yours?
Guardian, I renounced my vow.
All right, guys, so I'm sure you've been getting this all day long, but I've got to ask, because World of Warcraft is such a, mega franchise. So just out of curiosity, did you guys kind of dig into the game at all before coming on board the film?
I was aware of the game, obviously, and aware of its significance in the pantheon of gaming.
Right.
My first proper exposure to it was through the script and through speaking to Duncan, and then once being brought on board, that was kind of my launching pad into the rich mythology of the Warcraft canon.
And I played for 12 years. I've put more time into this than most people put into their children. This is a very important part of my life, this game.
Wow, what was it about this game in particular that sucked you in like that?
It's very hard to tell that. It came along at a time in my life where I really needed friends, and this game gave me those friends, and it gave me a support network, and it was an intoxicating world in which I was able to live in, and it was something that I was very good at. And in life you find very few things in which you are naturally very good at, and gaming was one of them, and WoW was the one I was the best at.
Well, Ben, we kind of jump right into your character's story, right when we meet him, and I also get the sense, of course, that there's much more to come from his story. So can you kind of bring us up to speed on his background a little bit?
Sure. Khadgar is an apprentice wizard. He's a mage in Azeroth, and he's found himself at odds with the constitution of magic and the convention of it and its organization. And so at the beginning of the film, he's kind of disgraced himself. He's kind of on the outskirts, and then he gets pulled into this conflict that is so much greater than anything he could have imagined. And through the course of the film, he really discovers his calling and starts to become more and more the wizard and the powerful mage that he eventually is in the canon of the game.
Now, Ogrim is badass wild warrior, but at the same time, very loyal to both the Horde and his friend. So is that a normal trait for an orc?
Well, here's the thing. We are caught between a faction shift within our own faction. There are basically two ways of being an orc in this movie and in the history of the game. Orcs traditionally are very honorable, proud, and nature-mindful people, but they find themselves caught in a paradigm shift where half the orcs are intoxicated by something called the Fel and Gul'dan's lust for power, which is making them much more base, less intelligent, and more warlike. So when the Frostwolves come to join the warband and see how these other orcs are behaving, which is at odds with the traditions that we have set, it sets an internal civil war going within the orc faction, which then spills out over into Azeroth.
Okay. Now, this is going to be my last question for you guys. At Wikia, we celebrate fandoms of all kinds. We have a huge World of Warcraft community. So I always like to end conversations like this by asking, what are you a fan of?
Outside of movies in general, and
Or it could be movies, it could be sports.
I mean, I'm a total film buff.
Yeah.
But I'm a big UFC fan.
Yeah,
It's
all
kind of
right.
a surprise to some of my actory friends, but yeah.
I'm the same. I'm a big UFC guy, but my biggest fandom other than this, I'd say, is the DC universe.
Oh.
I've read every comic in DC in the entire history of the thing. I'm a big DC universe fan.
Favorite character? Or?
I've always been a big fan of Orion.
Okay.
I like
Gods,
him
yeah.
being the son of Darkseid and having the Mother Box keep him under control. It's very much, I hate to liken him to Orgrim, but it is very much the sense of his nature against what he knows is also the right thing to do, and it's that battle between those two things.